February 12, 2007. Actually, before that, kagagraduate lang namin sa CGSC noon, and then we were newly assigned at 10th Infantry Division. Nung nag-report kami noong 16 January doon, immediately ginawa akong G1 ng 10ID. But apparently, nung nabakante yung nung marirelieve na yung si Colonel Ijo ng 25th IB, there was an initial choice, but apparently nagkaroon ng changes, and then less than a month after that, I was already informed by my Chief of Staff na i-designate na daw ako. So hindi ko masyadong ini-expect actually yun, but sabi ko nga doon sa assumption speech ko, sabi ko, sir, I may not be expecting it this early, but I am ready, sabi ko. Sabi ko, hindi ako mag-aatubili na itanggapin ito, kahit na alam kong medyo parang napapaga, but sabihin ko sa inyo, I am ready, and I'm going to do what you were asking me.
So, nung time na nag-assume na kayo, sir, anong lugar, sir, ng unit ng PDFIB, ano ang situation sa area regarding katalaban o sa mga nasasakupan nito?
Perhaps if only to highlight what was the situation on, I assume February 12, 2007. 3 days after that, very early in the morning, nagbe-breakfast conference na ako with my staff. Around 6 o'clock in the morning pa lang yan. Breakfast conference kami. Then news came that yung engineering unit na gumagawa ng kalayaan sa barangay projects dun sa Kabuyuan, sa Mabini, okay, were ambushed. Okay, tumawag na yung battalion commander sa akin, tumawag na yung brigade sa akin, and it highlighted actually the kind of situation na nandun na prevailing noon dun sa Compostela Valley, sa Mako, Mabini, Pantukan in particular. It highlighted yung kind of situation doon na the rebels could really do these things with impunity. Wala silang sabihin natin na wala silang pasubali kung engineering unit man yan, o kung relatively non-combatants yung mga yan, gumagawa ng construction projects, wala silang pakialam. So immediately, of course, we deployed. That was immediately yun ang naging 1st Battalion operation namin. Okay, and doon ko nakita, when I was talking to the people right after no, nakapagpulong-pulong actually na nakapag-organize kami kaagad ng indignation rally after that eh. And then doon ko na-realize na how much hindi man actually detached tayo, no, the AFP hindi siguro detached, how much ang parang konting ang gap between the civilians and the armed forces in particular siguro. And doon ko na-realize na this is an insurgency. Okay? Insurgency is inherently a war perceptions. And primarily, insurgency is about engaging not really the enemy, but actually the people. Because it's the people that will really make or break an insurgency. So right there and then, doon ko nakita sa barangay na yun, no, the importance of really engaging the people. Siguro kung mapapansin nyo ngayon, marami ng mga officers, marami na even generals, even my present commanding general. We are already not only open, okay, we already believe na this problem, itong problem natin sa insurgency, cannot be solved by having parameters of body count alone, having parameters of firearms recovered alone. So of course, it's very important that we hit the armed group. But ilang percentage yan? If you go to an infantry battalion, ilang percentage ang ginagawa ng infantry battalion sa operations compared sa other activities? Hindi natin kaya pang masustain yan ng tuloy-tuloy because of course limited resources natin. Limited pa rin yung ating yung manpower natin. So hindi natin pa matutuloy-tuloy yan. So that prompted it, okay? And that I realized na we should engage the people more. We should be more attuned, more aware kung anong nangyayari sa mga barangay. That actually started it.
So paano niyo ito inumpisahan, sir, na kasi mabanggit yung area na within 5 minutes of time. Paano niyo ito inumpisahan?
Well, 25th, when I assumed command of the battalion nung February, ang coverage ko were 5 municipalities of Compostela Valley, Mako, Mabini, Pantukan, and then Mawab, and portions of Napunturan. So, at that time also, may Maragusan pa rin akong hawak. Okay, Maragusan also, hawak pa rin namin. And, nung siguro, after nung first na major encounter namin na nakahuli kami nung 2007 nung May 2007 na nakahuli kami ng section committee secretary at saka yung anak niya na 15-year-old na rebel. 15-year-old, siguro hindi na mention yan sa inyo dun sa dun, nakalimutan kong mapa-interview niyo yun eh. We actually captured yung section committee secretary nun. He had a standing warrant of arrest. Okay. Nung na-encounter na yun, yung muntik na rin mamatay yung naging security ko noon eh. And through yung kanyang bala dito sa halos punit lang ng konting-konting lungs niya. So, he survived. After nung encounter na yun, naka-capture din namin yung anak nung second secretary na yun. 15 years old. 15 years old. Nung ko na-realize, what are we doing? Okay, what are we doing for these young people? Kasi alam mo, ang belief ko talaga, ito, personally belief ko, kung meron siguro tayong dapat i-engage sa mga tao, it's not so much siguro the adults. It really should be the younger people, the young people. Kasi kung makikita nyo yung insurgency, where does it thrive? It thrives on yung marirecruit nila. Pag wala na silang ma-recruit, it will die a natural death. Yung mga matatanda dyan, wala na naniniwala sa kanila, madidisillusion din sila, it will die a natural death. And if you look at the statistics, marami na ang nare-recruit ng CPP-NPA na mga bata. And they realize that. They realize yung utility nun. Kasi alam nila na darating ang time, for example, ma-recruit nila 15, darating time, mag-18 yan, mag-20 yan, marirealize nila na hindi para dun sa kanila itong ginagawa na to. And then, they will eventually peter out. Lalabas din sila. So, recruit ka na naman ng panibago ng mga bata. And then, the cycle continues. So, nape-perpetuate ang movement. Kahit na alam naman natin ngayon na kadalasan, katulad sa Combal, nagiging extortion business na lang talaga yung activities ng NPA doon. And we're not engaging the youth. We're not engaging the younger generations that much. Kasi nga, ang tingin natin, of course, we go up there the armed group, definitely. But ang dami na kasi ng percentage na nakukuha nila doon sa mga kabataan. I've heard a lot of stories na mga high school students, talagang nire-recruit nila. Especially doon sa malalayong barangay. Doon mismo. Especially doon sa malalayong barangay. And siguro hindi natin mabiblame kasi yun nga, feeling ko, hindi natin masyadong in-engage eh. Hindi natin masyadong in-engage yung mga tao, hindi natin pinapakita yung tunay na side ng sundalo ng AFP. yung remark mo na ano, alam mo yung remark mo na sinasabi na ganito pala ang sundalo. 2 days ago, may bisita kami dito, Ateneo professor. And sinabi din niya, ang nag-stick pa rin sa mind namin mga civilians, nag-stick pa rin sa mind namin mga civilians is yung martial law picture of the AFP na walang pakialam sa human rights, gera lang, katay lang alam, okay? Yun nag-i-stick pa rin. Surprisingly, hanggang ngayon, nag-i-stick. So, it only indicates that we're not engaging our people that much. We're not engaging, especially siguro sa barangay. Kaya very important yung very important yung role talaga ng sundalo. Kasi sabi ka ni Jeff, we have the AFP, tayo, the AFP. Especially in the army. Only us, tayo lang ang merong monopoly of being able to go to every corner of the country and bring government to the country, bring governance to the country. Iparamdam sa mga ating kababayan ang gobyerno. Tayo lang practically. Diba? Pumunta tayo doon. Minsan, tayo lang talaga nakakatungtong. Tayo lang. Kaya kung hindi maganda ang pinapakita na doon, yun din ang impression ng tao sa gobyerno. Diba? Kung maganda ang makikita nila, maganda ang titingin nila sa gobyerno. Kaya doon ko nakita how important our role is in this campaign. Not just to go after yung NPA, yung armed group, but more in of repeated praise of winning hearts and minds. Winning hearts and minds. Pero it still holds true. And yet, tawag dito, may mga iba nakakalimot pa rin ng ganun. Diba? And that actually started it. Kaya sabi ko nga, doon ko na-realize na kailangan nating in-engage yung tao, lalo na yung mga kabataan. If you will ask me about yung kung paano nag-umpisa din yun nun, well, you've seen yung mga development projects na ginawa ko nun, di ba? Interviewing people. At it actually started only with yung nasa isip ko na barangay scholars lang. Kasi at that time, ang brigade commander ko, si General Holganza, he was the brigade commander of 1st Brigade. I also credit him for having this kind of mindset of engaging the people. Malaki din ang influence niya sa akin sa ganun eh. Si General Holganza required us to participate in yung Brigada Eskwela. Ano yung Brigada Eskwela, di ba? Tulong tayo ipinturahan, ayusin yung mga classrooms in time for the school opening. That was also May, after nung encounter na ito noon. Tinapitan ako ng isang teacher. Malayo yung barangay na rin yun. Okay? Napitan ng isang teacher and then nagkwento-kwentuhan kami and then na-mention niya na meron daw siyang mga estudyante doon na mga hindi napapasok for that school year. Hindi napapasok for that school year because yung 140 pesos na school obligation hindi nila kayang bayaran. 140 pesos annual na yun, ha? Hindi pa nila kayang bayaran. How much more yung school supplies? How much more yung mga uniforme nila at that time ni-require pa? How much more yung pambaon-baon pa nila? School supplies na lang, nabibigatan na. There was one barangay na may scholars din ako noon. Yung isang bata, ang notebook niya, sabi ng teacher sa akin, dadalawa for the whole school year for all subjects. For all subjects. Ganun ang kalagayan doon. Ganun ang kalagayan ng mga tao doon, ng mga bata.
So, paano ang ginawa niyo, sir?
Right there and then, sabi ko, sige ma'am, I will, tutulungan ko kayo ma'am, ha? Siguro hindi ko makaka-commit lahat ng mga, yung masagot mo na yung lahat ng mga bata, pero pumili kayo ng unang, ng mga 10 na tingin yung talagang nangangailangan. Most ay indigent, nangangailangan. Okay? So, pumili siya. And then, dun sa barangay nga na may na-ambush din nun, kinausap ko yung teacher dun sa elementary school. Pumili din siya ng mga 10 dun. Poorest of the poor. And then, nag-email ako sa mga kaibigan ko, tumawag ako sa kanila. Cellphone lang ang gamit ko. Ang puhunan ko dito. Email ako. Fortunately, nag-reply kaagad sila. Yung mga kaklase ko nga from dating classmates ko, even from abroad, nagpadala sila. Gulat na lang ako sa pouring in of support eh. Eventually, all in all, I was able to support about 79 scholars during my term. And right now, tinutuloy-tuloy namin yon. Nag-usap-usap kami ng mga donors na yon kasi mga classmates ko, mga dating kadete ko. Sabi ko, tuloy natin to. Sayang lang kung hindi natin itutuloy to. Total, may mga... Anyway, we already have contacts naman doon. We already have the network to help us doon. So, we are continuing it now. Okay? Yung hindi na siguro lahat kasi naging selective na rin kami sa mga ibang areas. But we are supporting now about mga nag-commit sa akin, kaya namin support mga around 40 of them. Baka siguro 50 pala, 2020 yung isa, tapos another 10. So mga 50 out of the 79. So yun, i-continue namin, and we plan to really continue it hanggang makagraduate sila ng up to high school at least. Anyway, andun na naman yung network eh.
So, ano mga ibang ginawa niyong pamamaraan para makuha ang loob ng mga tao?
From then on, doon ko na-realize yung sabi ko, magpapulong-pulong nga ako araw-araw, mag-psyop ako araw-araw, magpalagay ako ng lahat ng leaflets yan, pero siguro kung ang mga tao nakikita ko na parang yung basic needs sila, hindi pa rin natutugunan, parang magiging empty pa rin yung mga salita ko eh. So, doon ko ngayon, ito naman, itong next na natin naging window ko, dito ko nakita yung yung power, yung potential ng mga NGOs, non-government organizations. It was here that I realized that we have an practically untapped resource, just waiting to be, utilized. They're just asking us. Yung first na NGO na naka-engage ko, Children International, I was able to get books. And that's when I said na we will donate books. Because if we want to educate the children, if we want to engage the young people, we have to start with reading. And you will be surprised, may mga iba doon na sabi, oh yes sir, may library kami ng konti, pero yung library pala nila doon, mga textbooks lang na pinaglumaan. Mga textbooks lang na pinaglumaan na tapos sabing library na. So nagsolicit ko ng books, mga brand new pa yun. And then talagang colorful, at tuwan-tuwa yung mga bata kasi first time nila makabasa ng mga gano'n na kind ng books. So I started on a barangay scholarship, naging barangay library program na ngayon. And then that was bandang September, then I also embarked on yung sinasabi na, kasi sabi ko, yung mga same barangay sa rin yun. Ako, yung mga barangay sa rin yun, yung mga tina-target ko kasi nga doon nakatutok yung mga tropa ko. Doon din, nakapag-start din ako nung natawag ko ng Project Kicks. It's a football program. Pinatrain ko din yung mga bata na yun doon sa mga elementary schools na yun din. Doon din, kung saan ako may mga scholars, doon din ako. In-extend ko doon. And then, napalaro ko pa sila sa Davao. Naka-coordinate ko yung isang kakilala ko din from Davao Football Association. Nag-conduct sila ng clinic. And then in-accommodate sila sa isang tournament dun sa Davao. Well, eventually, of course, siyempre, hindi naman mananalo sila compared sa mga teams like Ateneo, Ateneo de Davao. Pero, yung experience na yun, hindi mo talaga, hindi mo mapapantayan, hindi nila malilimutan. And they will always remember what they experienced on that day. Kasi, yung magugulat ka nga yung kung paano ko na isipan yung football program na yon. Kasi yung mga scholars ko, yung mga unang batch, yung isang batch ng scholars, binilang ko ng mga uniforms, tsaka shoes. Yan, lalaki. Sabi ko, hindi ko yata na-estimate ng tama kahit na nagbigay na sila ng mga sizes. Sabi ko, sige, dalhin natin sa Davao sila yung next batch. So, instantly, nagkaroon ng lakbay aral. And then, nung dinala ko sa may yung football field doon, nanood sila ng football ng mga bata, doon ko naisip na, sige, baka pwede silang, yun din naman ang gusto ng Combal. Kasi si Governor, he's very much, a very good supporter of the football program doon. So, inumpisahan ko doon. So, doon lang, nag-umpisa na yun.
So, ano pa ang mga ibang ginawa niyo, sir? Kasi galing kami doon, marami kayong ginawang parang support sa mga barangay.
Yes,
sa individual na...
That was nung November kasi dumating, well actually before November, nag-coordinate sa akin yung isang NGO ulit, yung Operation Blessing. Operation Blessing Philippines. Operation Blessing is the humanitarian arm of Christian Broadcasting Network, which produces the 700 Club. Si Peter Kairos ang host nun. They coordinated initially for medical missions dun sa area namin. So nakapag 6 medical missions kami, nakapagbigay din kami ng mga livelihood packages, 25 families nag-benefit nun. And then initially around 17 na mga artesian wells. 17 yun. After that, tinanong ko sila, ano pa pwedeng makuha ko sa, ano pa pwedeng ma-project natin dyan sa Operation Blessing. So, scan ko. Yeah, sir, meron pa tayong wheelchair, meron pa tayong mga, tawag dito, mga books. Okay? Meron tayong mobile out-of-school training. Okay? Sige, paano ko gawin yan? Sir, tulat lang kayo kay Doc Kim, yung aming COO, Chief Operating Officer. Yeah. Sige. And nag-snowball na yun, tawag lang. Hanggang sa katagalan, hindi ko na-realize na ando na pala yung mga, nagpatong-patong na yung mga magagawa namin sa mga tao. All in all, 27 communities nalagyan namin ng level 1, yung jetmatic pumps. From drilling yun hanggang sa inauguration. Ang hiningi lang namin dun sa barangay is meron lang i-donate lang yung 2.5 by 1.5 meter na lot. That's all. Yun lang dun. Yun lang requirement ng Operation Blessing. Everything is given to them for free. Livelihood namin, nakapagbigay kami kahit sa mga rebel returnees namin, mga 25 families nag-benefit doon. And hanggang ngayon, tuloy-tuloy pa rin. Kasi ang concept kasi ng livelihood nila doon, pag ikaw binigyan ng, let's say, 3,000 worth ng livelihood package, say baboy o kaya mga goods. Pag lumago na yun, babayaran mo yun. And then, hindi mo babayaran yung sa Operation Blessing. Ibibigay mo yun dun sa next na nangangailangan. So, umiikot yun dun sa barangay. So, ngayon, umiikot na dapat yun dun sa within the barangay.
Kaya natanong ko na rin, bali, grabing appreciation ng...
Hindi ko naman hinahanap yun eh.
Pero...
Hindi ko naman, basta sa akin nun, alam mo, ako ang iniisip ko lang nun. May ito maganda tong story, na-struck ako dito kasi meron kong may CD na pinahiram sa akin dati noon. Tapos medyo lumang CD na yun. Pero may magandang storya doon. The story about the young man throwing starfish in the ocean. Kung narinig mo yun. It's a story about the young man throwing starfish in the ocean. The story goes that there was a writer who was walking along the beach, along the seashore. And then from afar, may nakikita siya ng isang parang figure that was sort of dancing. Parang tingin niya parang sumasayaw. Then as he got closer, he noticed that it was a man or a man who was picking up something on the ocean floor, on the seashore, and then throwing it back, seemingly throwing it back into the ocean. When he got nearer, he saw that it was a young man. Okay? Young man. And then he asked the guy, young man, what are you doing? I'm picking up starfish and throwing it back into the ocean. But why are you doing that? Sabi ng writer. If I don't do that, the sun will come up, the tide will recede, the starfish will dry up, and it will die. So I'm picking them up so that they will be able to live. Siyempre, napatigil ulit ng writer. Siyempre, skeptic. But young man, sabi niya, there are hundreds of starfish in the ocean. What difference would it make? What difference would it make? Tanong niya. Tumigil yung tingin yung young man. Tapos, kumuha siya ng isa pang starfish. Tapos, tinapon ulit niya sa ocean. And then sabi niya sa writer, it made a difference for that one. It made a difference for that one. So, doon ko na-realize na we cannot do everything. Kahit dito sa AFP, hindi natin matatapos ang gera. Hindi ko kaya din matapos ang gera. Hindi ko madidefeat ang NPA alone. Or lahat ng threat groups na alone. But, if we only do our share of making a difference in other people's lives, one day, one barangay, one child at a time, eventually, probably, we'll realize later on, after 2-3 years, that you've made a difference already to a lot of people. And doon ko rin na-realize ngayon. I was not expecting it. Basta magiging philosophy ko lang noon is to make a difference for these people. Kung anong mga gagawa ko, di gagawin ko. Yeah, until eventually, ganun lang pala karami. Pati wheelchairs, nakapagbigay ako ng, hindi ko rin na yan, tawag lang yan. Ano pang pwede kong mahingi? Paano ko kukunin yung mga wheelchairs na yan? Sir, kailangan matransport lang natin. Ganun ba? Ang dami naman natin kilala sa, dito pa sa Joke nun, command center. Baka pwedeng paki-accommodate yung mga packages na yan. Assemblies pa yan eh. In-accommodate naman. All in all, nakapagbigay ako ng 140 wheelchairs. Libre yun. At saka, doon ko na-realize din, noon nakala ko, baka bibigyan mo lang, parang naputulan mo pa. Doon ko na-realize din pala, yung mga iba doon, talagang nakakaawa din. Mga bata na mga naging retarded na, meron pa nga doon sa isang barangay. Kasi, yung hindi mabigyan doon sa turnover, I make it a point na talagang matatanggap nung recipient. Ayoko ibibigay lang basta doon sa guardian. Hindi sa guardian doon. Pag wala doon yung pasyente. Hindi. Dadalhin namin doon sa bahay. Makikita mo, napapaiyak sila. Ikaw din, mapapaiyak ka din siguro dahil maawa ka din sa kanila. Yung mga iba, first time lang makakalabas. Kasi ang kagandahan ng wheelchair na yun, like sa mga wheelchairs, alam natin, magaan siya. Tapos yung gulong niya pang mountain bike. So pang barangay talaga. Monoblock yung upuan. Tapos pwedeng maligo doon. So very pang barangay talaga. Kaya niyang ipaano. Meron pa nga doon talagang bata na talagang siguro deformed na siya nung pinanganak. Ganito lang kalaki. Ganito lang siya kalaki. Pero 14 years old na. Tapos ang kamay niya ganito lang kahaba. Paa niya. Makita mo, tingnan mo doon sa pictures na mga inano ko. Pamaya papakopya ko. Makita mo doon.
Yung ano sir, bali ang isang tanong ko sir, yung ano ang naging impact or ano ang naging resulta in relation with confidence ng DC yung mga ginawa nila yun?
Kung makikita mo doon, okay, siguro ang masasabi ko naging impact talaga nun is the number of